that a time came there when an interesting thing was said by Yaqub, and I want to explain this before I go on. In that whole incident, and you'll see this in the Quran, a strange sentence that Yaqub had said in this whole incident. When the brothers came to Yusuf, to Yaqub, and they said that, listen, father, why don't you let him be with us and play with us? You know, you always keep him and, you know, you like him more than us. You know, why don't you let him come out? We also are his brothers. We are his well-wishers, this and that. You know, so now, Yaqub didn't want to let Yusuf out of his sight. So he wanted to make an excuse. And this is something strange we find in the Quran, the excuse he made. You know, I mean, the brothers are asking, why don't you let him play with us? Yaqub is saying, well, I'm afraid a wolf might eat him. Akhafu an ya'kulahu dhi'b. I'm afraid a wild animal, a wolf might eat him. Now, imagine that reply that Yaqub gave. It's a really, when we want to give an excuse, we'll give a general excuse. I'm afraid he'll get hurt. I'm afraid he'll get harmed. You don't say, I'm afraid he's going to be run over by an 18-wheeler. You wouldn't say that. It'll be like random. What? Yeah. What are you trying to say? But Allah is speaking of Yaqub. He's saying that, no, he said that. He said that a wolf might eat him. A wolf, of all the things a wolf, I mean, where did that come from? How did that happen? You know, just understand this. What Yaqub is saying. And Allah recorded this in the Quran, so it cannot be lied to. This is what Yaqub said. A wolf might eat him. But you see what happened. These brothers, when they did their crime, they came back with his shirt. And what did they say? I mean, the father already gave the excuse. The brothers should have the sense that, listen, the father already said this. Let's not use this excuse. Let's use some other excuse. I mean, they came back and gave the same excuse that Yaqub had already given that they're going to give. Allah is mentioning this in the Quran to let us know something. That Yaqub is a prophet. And not only did Yaqub knew what was going to happen to Yusuf, but he also knew what would be the excuse of these people when they come back. So in other words, Allah wants to say that a prophet like Yaqub knows what's going to happen in the future. And if Yaqub knows what's going to happen in the future, then how can the prophet, who's the prophet of all the prophets, Mohammed Mustafa, does not know the future?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
But you see, that they came back with this excuse. Right? They came back with this excuse and said, this is the excuse they gave. Well, after that, now, Yaqub, he started to cry. He cried, and he cried a lot. He cried so much that he lost his eyesight. He cried so much he lost his eyesight. And my friends, understand this. A lot of people, when they hear the story, or they read the story, or they watch the movie Yusuf that's on internet, when you see it, a lot of people get confused in this. I mean, a child dies. I mean, how long are you going to cry for? How long are you going to cry for a child? Yes, it's heartbreaking, great, it's a tragedy. But you cry, a year, 2 years, you get over it. You have, other children. You have other children, right? Maybe if it was your only children, you have no more children, maybe you can understand that. But the issue is that he had many other children. Yeah, and Yusuf is one of them. And he kept on crying. And he cried so much. You see, what people don't understand here is that Yaqub was not crying for Yusuf as a son. Yaqub was not crying because he lost his son. He was crying because he lost his imam. Yusuf was Yaqub's imam. Allah had made him higher than Yaqub. He was his leader. It was Yaqub's job to protect his leader. Because he lost his leader, that's why he was crying. And he had shown that these eyes, if they're meant to be these eyes are meant to see anyone, then they should see the imam of the time. If they don't see the imam of the time, then there's no use having these eyes. And when Yusuf was lost to Yaqub, that's why he was crying. That the one that Allah appointed as my imam, who was my own son, I have lost him. But he cried. He cried a lot, and these people, they came to him, the brothers, his sons, came to him and said, Father, why are you crying so much? Look at you, I mean, get over it. And they're trying to, stop him from crying. And they're giving all the reasons to him why you shouldn't cry. And amongst those reasons Allah mentions in the Quran, He said that you are acting like the people of Jahiliyyah, the people of ignorance. Imagine this, they are speaking to a prophet. They know that Yaqub is a prophet. And they're saying that you're acting like the people of Jahiliyyah, of ignorance. Look at you. You're acting like ignorant. This is what the people of ignorance used to do, and you're doing this. Trying so much. This is haram. Bid'ah. What they're saying. It's bid'ah. You shouldn't be crying so much. You see, the issue is that Yaqub is crying. He lost his son, he's crying. So why are you upset? Why are you trying to stop him? You see, my friends, the whole problem was that Yaqub was crying because there was zulm that was done. There was injustice that was done. And Yaqub's children were afraid that as long as he cries, their guilty conscience is telling them that as long as he cries, our crime might be exposed. Our crime might be exposed. So they are trying to stop Yaqub from crying. So from here we understood who cries and who stops others from crying. Those who cry, they cry because some injustice was done and they want to point out that injustice that was done. And those who stop people from crying, they are crying because they have done a crime and they're afraid that it might be exposed.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Just one incident I'm saying, and I want you to understand the eloquence of the Quran. In one sentence, how many angles that the Quran has given us? How many angles, and what is it teaching us? And how it's letting us know. So now, when this incident happened, my friends, and I want to go on from here now. When this incident happened, Yusuf was thrown in the well. The brothers went on to live their lives. And this is one of those stories that has a happy ending. Right? One of those stories in the Quran that has a happy ending. Everyone gets back together again. The father, the brothers, everyone. They're all like happy and, they get a piece of land also. And they're all like happy. And after all that life went on, after all these incidents happened, the brothers had a question in their mind. They had a question in their mind. And they said that, Father, amongst themselves they discussed first. They said, you know what? We did a crime against a prophet of Allah. Because now they found out that Yusuf is a prophet of Allah. They said, we did something wrong to him. We intended to kill him. We in fact ended up harming him. So if we did that, then why is it that Allah did not punish us? He's a prophet. He's Allah's prophet. Why didn't Allah punish us for that? I said,